translated into English prime, because then they're more about the person speaking rather than an actuality in the Platonic universe. But in relation to, say, Christian Science, or in positive self-talk, is it better? Does it seem to you to be better to use English prime, or the stronger is, for example, during devotional prayer or something like that?
It depends on the circumstances. I will violate my own principles when I think it's necessary to do so to cheer somebody up, which includes trying to implant positive suggestions in people with illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
In neuro-linguistic programming, they distinguish between the meta-model, and the meta-model can be identified with English prime. No is, no objectification. Everything has a report of an observer, just like quantum mechanics or Zen Buddhism. It's how the observer reacts to how the observer or observed interact with each other. And the Milton model, which is based on Milton Erickson's hypnotic techniques, in which you can violate all the rules of the meta model as long as you're doing it benevolently.
How about Zen? You mentioned that you've tried Zen.
Yeah.
What did you try?
Well, I read a few books on Zen back in the 50s. In 1962, I was lucky enough to be living in Yellow Springs while Yositani Hiroshi was living in a bomb shelter, which a bunch of Quakers had donated to him. He had 2 assistant monks and was giving Zen meditation sessions and practices and so on. I studied with Yositani for a while. And I still have a great fascination with Zen, but I don't do Zen meditation at all, because I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It just doesn't suit me. I prefer transcendental meditation, and without paying them a huge fee to get a mantra tailored just to me, I've decided any goddamn mantra you pick works just about as well as any other if you stick to it. My favorite mantra I will now reveal: Shamati Shawati Shamati Shawati Shamati 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 Shawati Shamati Shawati Shamati Shawati Shamati 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 Shawati. Doesn't mean a damn thing in Hindu or any other language, but it acts very much like a windshield wiper in banishing wandering thoughts and getting you concentrated.
Mm-hmm. What would you say the difference is between transcendental meditation and Zen meditation?
Transcendental meditation costs a lot more. But if you don't want to pay their fees, it's easier to do, and I think I find it much more congenial than counting my breaths 1 to 10. I always get to 14 at some point. Realize I screwed up. Well, the mantra, it's much easier to just keep the mantra going. It is much easier. It seems much easier to me.
It seems much easier to you, sir. So, have you ever tried, say, instead of breathing, just no thought at all? No mantra, no thought, no...
Oh, yeah.
And that one seems much more difficult.
Well, sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it's quite hard. It depends. It depends on how much uphill work you got to do. Mm-hmm. I've spent a lot of time investigating my brainwave machines, which are supposed to put you down in theta or delta very quickly. Right. They seem to work pretty damn well. Mm-hmm. And the trouble is, when I started writing about them, everybody started sending me their own machines, and I couldn't tell anymore what was the long-range effect of the machine I used last week and what was the new effect of the machine I was trying this week. But by and large, I think there's some quacks in that field. By and large, I think those brainwave machines can help a lot for people who don't know how to get started on meditation. Mm-hmm. And even those who have some practice, it helps to keep you in trim if you've gotten out of practice for a while.
Yeah, I was kind of just thinking about the possibility of having one of those as a crutch almost, where you can't quite anchor that sort of a state of calmness without hooking little electrodes to your head or listening to a tape first.
Well, there's a guy called Tom Kenyon who puts out tapes which combine neuro-linguistic programming with the rhythms that work their way down from beta to alpha to theta to delta. And if you can stay awake by the time you get to delta, the neuro-linguistic programming techniques really have a tremendous effect. I think there's a great area there for future research. We're going to learn a lot more about that.
To switch over a whole nother gear, I want to go all the way back to the beginning of Jordan's interview with you and talk a little more about optimism, because I think that's a very important practice in the everyday life. I mean, you mentioned, kind of the basic rational, I think, way of looking at it. You can be unhappy or you can be happy. There you go. You're going to be one or the other if you choose it. So, which one would you rather be? And I think most people would say optimistic. But I was kind of wondering if you have any little techniques that you use when there's small hardships of life. A salesman calls 3 times in a row and, oops, you picked it up this time. I mean, do you have any, do you breathe? Do you laugh out loud just for the heck of it? Do you try to do anything to come back into optimism?
Optimism has become a habit with me. As far as negative feelings towards other people, I still have some problems with that, but I get out of it by suddenly when I realize I've built up a strong negative attitude, I just short-circuit it by thinking, what am I doing this to myself for? I'm not doing them any harm. I'm just stewing and making myself sick and maybe giving myself ulcers. And besides, I don't know all the facts. How can I judge? I mean, basically it's rational therapy. Basically, it's Albert Ellis I use more than anything else when I'm having negative feelings. It doesn't matter what technique you use. The main thing is to get rid of negative feelings. Because the more negative feelings you're carrying around about the more people you got negative feelings about, the bigger the load gets, the more it's going to crush you. Meanwhile, most of them don't even know you're busy sulking over them anyway.
Good point. I just wanted to make a connection. I've heard a lot, certainly, about language, English prime, removing is and replacing it with maybe seems to be, maybe all for, I think you coined the word some but all.
Yeah.
Some but not all. I wanted to just briefly touch on also labeling theory, which I think I've read in one of your books before, but kind of as a connection between not only passing negative energy or labeling, giving people, I guess labels, I don't know how else to say it at the moment, but telling them that they are something and limiting them to that thing, which then they can't get out of unless they label you as a liar or wrong, and just downward.
Yeah, that represents one of the strongest contributions of general strength. Once you get rid of the years of identity, you can't identify a person with a label.
Right.
And I think identifying people with labels probably represents the major cause of human negativity in general. People put nasty labels on people they get angry at. People carry around nasty labels about themselves that their parents told them when they were 4 years old, and they don't know they're still reacting to it. And
do you feel that it's possible?
The best cure for bad labels is to remember the map is not the territory, and the map does not show all the territory. And besides, you're not aware of it anyway. So whatever anybody calls you. A couple of my books, I insisted on putting negative reviews on the jacket as well as positive reviews. That was a variety. I had a variety of reasons for that. One was to show the negative reviewers, say, I don't give a damn what you think about me. A childish little thing. Another was because I just felt that there are people who are trying to promote me into being some sort of a guru or something of the sort, and I want to discourage them by showing them that not everybody takes me seriously. Some people think I'm a first-class asshole, and they ought to remember that.
Yeah, I'm sure you have many labels around the world.
Yeah.
Does it seem to you that it's possible to experience life without a self-label?
Yes.
Really? Wow. What do you think that would be like? I mean, can you...
I stopped labeling myself quite a while ago.
So is it an active thing? I mean, deep down, you still eat food, and I mean, doesn't that inspire a label of I'm a biological creature at least?
While I'm eating food, I'm acting like a biologist.